After I said 1 hour, I was like, yo, how is that gonna work? How are we gonna do all this for 1 hour? That's insane.
I was thinking Luffy's definitely gonna have to transform like 3 times in that.
On like
space.
1 hour.
Yeah.
Because what do we think Gear 5's limited at is at this point?
I feel like it's like 20 or 30
20 minutes? The same thing with Gear 4? 20 minutes?
20 to 30 minutes. Something
Or
like
is it
around
depending on what he does in Gear 5? Like, how many star guns can he do before he, you know what I'm saying? Like, do you think that's how it works?
That, like, old man Luffy that happened on Wano, obviously. Like,
yeah, and
so
Wano he can bounce back, but like, that's my fear right now with Luffy with the limit. But the 1 hour interval, I was like, bro, that's crazy. But I'm glad they cut it down to 10 minutes.
Yeah, and it's pretty much at 9 minutes by the time we end the chapter.
Yeah, so it's more manageable. But I guess at this point, basically to hold off the world government. But what did you guys think about the conversation the Gorosei had with Saturn? Today's sponsor, Bomber Grounds Reborn. Available on iOS, Android, and Steam, takes a classic game like Bomberman and turns it into a battle royale, boasting a wide array of cool and cute characters to choose from with their own unique abilities. In order for you to explode your way into victory, you'll have to strategize to survive through a fun and intense gaming experience. Play together with your friends and level up your character so that you can have that edge over them. Don't miss out. A new season has just launched. Download Bomber Grounds Reborn from the link in my description. Not only are you helping the channel by doing this, Bomber Grounds will select a few winners to receive free gems which can be used to get cool cosmetics and the chance of unlocking cool and rare characters. We're all winning here, at least until you play me. This game looks amazing. The gameplay is smooth and these monsters are just adorable. Once you start playing, you're probably not going to want to stop playing this game, seriously. Then when you add in the mixing and matching of the skins, oh my goodness, cuteness overload. Click the link below and download Bomber Grounds Reborn today.
That was really interesting. Because I don't know if you guys think this, but I have I have a theory about the Gorosei, and I think they're not actually people. That's kind of like one of the things I'm leading on, but I think they're all creations of Imu, which is why they're able to have this sort of weird telepathic, you know, kind of connection to one of each other. And the way that he was I don't know how far, but at the end of the chapter, obviously I think they have some sort of connection with their abilities as well. We're not going to get into that as much obviously until later, but I know I feel like they're all like sort of from the same source, which is Imu, and that's why they're able to like communicate. Because, you know, we know Shanks is like the Wi-Fi hockey stuff, and people talk about that, but like being able to talk all the way to Marie Joie from Egghead is kind of crazy. Like, I don't see how that could be physically possible.
It's not like any of them are moving their mouths. It is literally the definition of telepathy.
Only thing I would disagree with is that they're not human. Maybe they're not human anymore. I think they were at one point.
Okay.
And that Imu definitely did turn them into something that's, you could say, subhuman or less human. And that's how they're connected. Yeah. But they are connected through Imu. I agree with that.
I see it. I feel like the 6 of them could be a different race because the way they talk about humans is different from the celestial dragons, right? It's not like they breathe the same air as everybody else, but they still consider other people as insects. Almost like it's almost as if like they're a different thing to them.
But Zaki, imagine if I was like, you were telling me I was a god for 800 years. Yeah, at some point I'm gonna start looking at as insects too.
Yeah, but I mean the people he's calling insects are like,
and that brings up the question: how do you become a Gorosei? They didn't seem to be privy to some of the information from back then, but with Nika,
some of them seem like they're more in the know than others. Because Saturn, it seems like in the panel, this is widely debated, but when they call for the hit on to change from Robin to Luffy, some of them saying, why are we changing the hit to Luffy? Wouldn't that anger Kaido, interrupting the battle? But then Saturn's like, no, think about what could really happen if we didn't kill him. And then everybody's like, oh, true.
Why should Jupiter be the oldest one?
It's kind of, you know, I never thought about it, but it's kind of interesting. It's literally like Vegapunk and the satellites are like Imu and the Gorosei.
Yeah, there's 6 of them. Right?
They don't really have. How many? No, there's only 5.
Isn't it 5 satellites? Right. Wait.
There's 6 satellites.
There's 6 satellites.
5
yeah, 5 Gorosei.
I'm just saying, like the way they kind of interact, and they don't always know what they're talking about, you know, and that's why the telepathy isn't like they all know.
It's like a channel they have to lock into.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all just made me think of something real quick, because there's 6 satellites, right?
Yeah.
And
there's 5 Gorosei and Imu.
5 Gorosei and Imu, right? For the Gorosei, we couldn't damage them, right? Do you think there's one person that's connected to them that's always hidden that you have to damage?
That could be why they're taking the risk of all of them going there, because they can be damaged.
They can be damaged unless that 6-1.
Exactly. I feel like they have to be damaged in this arc. There has to be something where like that's the secret, you know, where we get like almost like some insight, almost like the blood and crocodile when they first fought and he grabbed his hand, right? There has to be something.
There got to be some insight.
Insight for the future.
Brago, I actually really like that idea because because that's like what York was. They needed York to be around so they could eat, sleep, go to the bathroom, you know, all these basic human things, so they could continue to be like these absolutely insane things. So the Gorsei having an equivalent to that makes a lot of sense in my
But that's always hidden. That's never really, he's not around, or that thing isn't around. That's just like, you know, I actually saw Morge was talking about Luffy and how strong Luffy is because he's holding off 2 Admiral level characters fairly easily. Do you guys think, or look at this and automatically jump to a testament of Luffy's strength, or do you think it's a lot of it is circumstantial?
I think, okay, well, we've seen Luffy grab Kaido like that, right? And we've seen him toss around Kaido. We've seen him. We have to just take into account this is his ability. As disrespectful as it looks, it's just he literally turned himself large, and now he's strong enough to hold Kizaru down. You know, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
But
I mean, to be fair, he turned them into pizza.
yeah, he did turn them.
fair.
He turned them into
Like-
pizza, but
like-
like even when that happens, Saturn comes flying right back. It's like almost like if you know how to deal with the power, you can circumvent these things. Like the way when Kaido kept fighting Luffy, at first he didn't know what the hell to do. He's like, he's getting grabbed, he's turning into a jump rope.
Then he was like, all right, enough of this.
And then he's like, okay, I'm not even gonna let this catch me off guard anymore. If you hit me in the stomach and you send my pelvis fly, I'm just gonna hit you in the face, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing where we have to, it's so many things we have to parse because, all right, Luffy's the main character, right? That's a factor. Secondly, in this fight, Kizaru doesn't want to be here.
Clearly.
That's the part of it. And third, for the Gorosei, we don't understand them yet. Right? So my thing comes down to, for Luffy turned them into pizza, right? I think Symbol hurt more than anything, and the pizza thing is just a flex and just throwing them.
Oh yeah,
Because-
definitely. it was just so funny.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing where like a lot of people can't see past it. Like, look, he turned him into pizza. It's like, yeah, it's just
That's his
it's
ability,
just-
man. Like
that's his ability. You know,
that's like if Sugar turned you into a toy. He's like, oh man, she's disrespecting the shit
it's
out of
just so
you, man.
disrespectful. Like, yeah, that's the power, you know. And so I think just like, and Oda does this really well, where every scenario there's always something you could point at and be like, hold on, it's not as straightforward as like, oh, Luffy's doing this. There's so many factors at play, which not to take away from Luffy because Luffy's insane, but something that's in the back of all our minds is that time limit.
Yeah,
How
it
long?
is literally his biggest nerve because he can
You
fight.
know?
He can fight toe to toe with these characters, but once he goes out of that form, he's literally just an open target.
And I do feel like it is unfair, but I feel like this is Oda's way of nerfing such a broken character.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like, yo, this dude can do, and sometimes people take, when somebody says anything, they take it too far. Like, he can't do anything, bro. For all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, within the realm of like
Rubber.
his power, rubber, he
Turning
can
and
do anything.
manipulating things
He
into
can
a rubber
manipulate
form.
things, pretty much anything, right?
Environment,
It's
himself,
insane. Like, it's really just out of this world. It is unfair, but Oda has to nerf him because I think Oda's like, damn, maybe I made him too strong. And he uses this limit as tension. And I think right now with the Gorosei and where they are, I do feel the tension, bro. I can't even lie to you guys.
Continuing further on, like everything Saturn does, even when he's getting disrespected, it's almost like it's not phasing him. Like he really doesn't care. You know, he's not even getting angry. He's just like, did I summon? You know?
Yeah, he was talking to them when like his Luffy's hand was just on his face. It wasn't phasing him at all. Which I did jump forward a little bit. What did you guys think about us jumping to the different places? Which I mean, this had to happen just because of the transmission. You have to see the reactions. What did you guys think about it? What was your favorite place to go to that Oda panned to?
Okay, so firstly, I kind of hope we continue with this because this reminds me a lot of the build up to Marineford,
Yes.
where we saw a bunch of people reacting to like, oh my god, Whitebeard's gonna fight against the world.
This is some of my favorite shit in One Piece. The end of arc reactions, or just like when something happens and seeing people react to it, is some of my favorite moments.
because it makes things feel so alive.
Gives you an update on the characters too.
Exactly.
Yeah. For me, I really thought a lot of the places he picked were like perfect because let's be for real, he was gonna pick Fuchsia Village anyway. But
No matter what.
I'm talking about like Dressrosa. That was really interesting because
We saw
that place,
Leo.
we saw Leo as well, who was at the Reverie. You know,
So
and
no
that
Grand Fleet
all
on the way?
led to this.
Yeah, Leo did not move. He's like, this news is not worrying to him at all. He thinks Luffy's got it.
The guy he kidnapped. No, but I like that we were at Dressrosa a lot because
I love
honestly,
Dressrosa.
was ruled by Doflamingo, and Doflamingo knows the secrets of the Celestial Dragons. Could that possibly be some connection?
I'd like to see
obviously
King Riku's
Oda's-
reaction at some point.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. I just think like the way Oda's teasing little bits, I think is really cool. Like in Water 7, I think choosing Iceberg was really, really important.
Yeah.
Because what happened in Water 7, we were introduced to the world government.
And the
we
ancient
learned
weapons.
about O'Hara. We saw and the ancient weapons. Yeah. Like a lot of the places he picked, I feel, were
Yeah.
very specific in like
Yeah.
the best way. It's like all of them have this huge tie to the Celestial Dragons and the world government, and obviously Luffy's hometown. You now know that's where he got the fruit. That's, you know what I mean.
And then he gives
like
big
North
news.
Blue, West Blue.
a big news to go. Big news to go obviously showed up as well.
Do you guys think Vivi leaves with the Straw Hats after Egghead?
I think.
Because I think big news is on the way there.
I would love that because he needs pictures. For
He does.
these.
Hey man, this is a
He
big
needs
scoop,
pictures.
bro. This is a big scoop.
I think.
Like big news not gonna let this chance pass him by. And you know what? You know what's happening? Come on,
Yeah, could be the case, right? But that's almost like a death wish going to Egghead right now because they're trying to kill anybody and everybody who sees it.
bro.
I did think it was really cool. Like I love Big News Morgans because he's so genuinely just terrible and toxic. Like he's telling Vivi, this person who he knows cares about the Straw Hats and all this stuff, like, oh yeah, that place is probably burned to the ground. Like
Yes.
they're all dead.
But
Real
he's so
egg- I love
perceptive,
it. Real
though,
Egghead's
right? He's
raised
like,
in
this must have
flames.
been pre-recorded. That isn't
Yeah.
the current time.
Yeah,
He
he's
just
smart
knew
enough to know that,
immediately.
yeah.
It's gonna be so dope once we see who this person actually is. The SBS again reminded me that he is a devil fruit user that's
Albatross.
always in his devil fruit form. Like, yo, who is this guy? Because you know what's crazy? You could be anybody. Like,
Yeah.
if they
Yeah.
have never seen your form, you could be anybody, but you are like somebody that can manipulate some of the craziest shit in the world.
He's working in a
It's crazy
dangerous
to say.
field, bro. He's gotta keep that
Dang.
identity
Bro,
secret.
you gotta throw him in the water, bro.
And he's got hands too. He beat up a
Yeah.
CP0 agent. He's got hands.
Yeah, like I mean, you got to like in this field. So shout out to Big News.
One more thing on that note with the whole Wano thing, you know they have to revisit the whole Toki and Amatsuki situation, especially with what's going on in Egghead now, like related to the Void Century, because she
Yes.
came from 800 years ago, and her whole goal
At some
was to
point.
go back to Wano, right?
She was trying to get back to Wano. Crazy because Toki's one of the interesting characters that I sometimes think people overlook. She said so much like some profound shit every now and again. Even with Odin when she talked about like, I don't know what my journey is, but I feel like I was destined to be here with you. And then even with like some of her mission, you can tell that like she implied that she ran away from her mission, that she ended up exactly where she needed to be. So like was something happening back then that she ran away from? Was it duty? Like, you know, so it's just like
The whole
it's
reason she died, she said, "I'm not running away anymore."
right,
Yeah.
right,
Low
right.
key. Low key, she kind of reminded me of like Aang from Avatar, like
Little
running
bit.
away from like the Destiny vibes. I don't know.
Of course we're gonna see her again. Like we're gonna see a flashback. Like, yo, that's Toki, bro. Because she had a duty, right? She had something that she had to get done, and she left it. But the thing is, if she didn't run away from it, she wouldn't end up with Odin, and all this shit wouldn't have transpired in the present
Yeah.
time. So like, it's like almost
Oh.
like it ended up happening in the way it should have.
Exactly.
All right, I just had a brain.
It's almost
I
like
just had
she
a brain
realized
blast.
her role in that moment too. She's like, "This is my role."
Yeah. I think I just had a brain blast. What if Toki's role was to defend Wano from like whatever was going down in the Void Century, like all the people getting wiped out, right? And she's like, well, if we're all wiped out defending ourselves, like it's really interesting actually, because the samurai's whole thing is like never running away, never backing down from a fight. And she did that. She backed down, she ran away.
She told him.
which-
She told him, yo, you gotta go.
Exactly. And because of that, they all die. It's just like Ashura in Wano, how all the people were like, no, we're tired of waiting.
Yeah.
But if you waited longer, you would have been able to help. And you died for it. Maybe that's a parallel. I don't know. I kind of like that.
To tie things
what-
back into the chapter, and have you guys ever seen the theory that I forgot who did it exactly? You guys can remind me. One of the Gorosei members, Gandhi. He's he's very obviously got Japanese influenced designs, right? And he's even got what people believe is the Shodai Katetsu, right?
Yeah.
But then it's like if he is from Wano, he has to be from an important family, right?
I think because he's been around for so long, he could have been from the like even time prior to Ryuma.
Yeah, exactly,
I mean?
exactly, right? But think about that, right? We know Toki could be from that same time too, right? So it's like, what if her whole purpose was trying to stop her father and the world government, you know? Because
And
there's
you're
a
saying that
lot
guy's her
there's a
father?
lot of former enemies of the world government that kind of traverse through time. You look at the Iron Giant, right? You look
Yeah.
at the Lunarians, they were killed out for some reason. So it's like we're always seeing a person who was from the losing side of the war. So I wonder if Toki was one that for Wano.
I could definitely see that. I'm curious. Do you think that guy's like her father? You mentioned her father. so
related
I'm assuming-
related somehow, because like we know that she left Wano, but she has to be important since she's in the Amatsuki family. And then that means that she has to have an important father, she has to have an important lifestyle, you know what I mean?
When you think about it, like what they said about Imu and the history of it with the poneglyphs, how did that play a factor into it? What is Toki's role with this? And so at some point it's going to start all making sense. Crazy that we're this far in and we still can't put the puzzle together
To see,
with all these characters.
We need to see my boy Gandhi on screen, and it looks like we're getting
I actually got some fuel to add to your fire right now. I got some fuel.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I remembered some of the names, and I'm like, I think he's Nushjuro. And
yes,
when I think of Juro, I think of
Zoro
Juro.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, this might be even more fuel to the fire. I like that.
Yeah.
He definitely is going to play
It's
a part
definitely
there.
a popular theory. I wouldn't say it's like something I came up with, but it's like all of these things are starting to align, and now we're going like, if further into the chapter, we see Saturn is summoning the rest of the Gorosei here, so maybe we can get more of that when they do arrive.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be insane for us all because this is the first time really seeing the Gorosei outside of that room.
Yeah.
The Gorosei.
That double spread is insane, by the way. Like, that looks crazy.
Yeah.
Like, just the spread.
Somebody said it doesn't feel like One Piece.
Yeah, it feels like
It doesn't feel
fan
real.
fiction. There was like,
You know, it doesn't feel like something in One Piece, which I guess before we get to that, we got to talk about, let me ask you guys your opinion on Dragon. At this point, do you feel like Dragon should do something, or you're like, okay, it's still wait and see time?
I feel like